Welcome to the world of international trade, where businesses from different corners of the globe come together to exchange goods and services. But amidst the excitement of global commerce, there's one thing both buyers and sellers can agree on is the importance of clarity and cooperation to avoid unnecessary conflicts. For an instance, let's take Canada Corporation and India Corporation, who are about to embark on a potato-filled adventure from Canada to the bustling markets of India. As they prepare to seal the deal, but to prevent any potential disputes and keep the peace between our friendly rivals, Canada Corporation and India Corporation will rely on the magic of Incoterms. Incoterms, those quirky little abbreviations, are the secret code that determines who does what, where, and when in the world of trade. Understanding Incoterms is a vital part of international business. When exporting products internationally, you must agree to sell your goods based on Incoterms specified by International Chamber of Commerce. Now, what is Incoterm? Incoterms is short for International Commercial Terms, which are published by the International Chamber of Commerce and related to international commercial law. These Incoterms are widely accepted by governments and legal authorities around the world. The International Chamber of Commerce have published the latest version of Incoterms, Incoterms 2020, which is effective from 1st of January 2020. The purpose of Incoterms is to clearly state which tasks, risks, and costs are associated with the buyer and with the seller. This chart displays Incoterms 2020 in an easy way. Note this chart should be used for reference purpose only. For a full and complete description or to see updated chart, you should refer to the full version of Incoterms published by the International Chamber of Commerce on their portal. The blue section in this chart displays the different types of Incoterms beginning from left to right. The green section shows the groups. This means which Incoterm is used in which mode of transportation. As you know, there are usually three types of transportation in international business like road transport, sea transport, and air transport. So here X works and FCA Incoterm is used for any mode of transport. However, FAS, FOB, CFT, and CIF is only used for the sea transportation. And again, CPT, CIP, DAP, DPU, and DDP are again used in any mode of transportation. On the left side in the blue column, you can see step-by-step process that is involved in the export order management, starting from the export material packaging, loading on the vehicle till it arrives in the import country of customs clearance. So here, shipping goods from one country to another includes several processes. First, the goods would be picked up from the supplier's location and then trucked to a seaport, airport cargo terminal, or a rail terminal depending on the agreed delivery method. Before being able to leave the country of origin, the goods need to clear customs, then travel by air or sea or land to their destination country, after which they will have to be unloaded, clear customs in receiving country, and then trucked to their final destination. Incoterms covers exactly who will bear the costs and risks of each process. And you can also see who is responsible for that particular activity on the right side, whether it is buyer or it is seller. For an instance, let's take an example of Incoterm called as FOB, which we had used in our earlier example of Canada Corporation shipping potatoes to India Corporation. FOB stands for free on board. The name itself says that the seller is responsible only till delivering the products on board. FOB is one of the commonly used Incoterm for sea freight. In our example, Canada Corporation is responsible for loading the potatoes onto the ship at Port of Quebec and clearing them for export from Canada. However, India Corporation is responsible for all the costs and risks from that point onwards, which means from Port of Quebec. So, India Corporation takes responsibility that includes ocean freight, insurance, custom clearance, and import duties in India. So simply in this case, as soon as the goods are loaded on board, all further associated costs and risks are transferred onto the buyer. The buyer will pay for the international freight and all charges thereafter. So here, seller's responsibility includes several processes like export packaging of the material, then loading this material on truck to deliver it to the port of Quebec, paying necessary export duties and taxes and making necessary customs clearance process, then loading the material onto the courier or ship, which is a responsibility of the seller. Now, insurance can be either on buyer or seller, that depends on the contract they both have agreed upon. Now, once the material is loaded on board, all further costs and risks are associated with the buyer, which includes freight charges from the port of Quebec to port of Mumbai, unloading the material at port of Mumbai, then paying import duties and making customs clearance of the received material. Similarly, you can actually navigate through all the Incoterms and see who is responsible for which stage of the process. The important point here is, we will not cover all the Incoterms because it's really not an important thing to remember each and everything of the Incoterms, like by hitting those and remembering everything about who's responsible for what. This is because there are three major reasons. The first one is, it is obviously not a rocket science and remembering everything will not make you an expert, because those guidelines are readily available on internet and you can just quickly refer to the roles and responsibilities for particular Incoterms that you are interested in. Secondly, this is once you actually start working on international export process that you will come to know everything with and as time flows. And most of the companies use very limited Incoterms depending on their businesses like Xworks or FOB, CIF and CFR. So you may look forward to mastering those terms specifically. And the third reason is, those Incoterms gets changes from time to time in few years. So it is better to keep yourself updated with the new changes which can be referred on internet, International Chamber of Commerce website anytime you want. So again, what is important here is to refer the process in this chart like we have seen for FOB, Incoterm for Canada Corporation and India Corporation deal. And put your process in the specific Incoterm that is agreed by the exporter and importer, and then understand what is exporter's role and what is importer's role. Finally, again, it's not rocket science, and do not try to remember this chart or do not get nervous looking at this chart considering it is too complicated or vast. So simply what we have seen that we just are trying to understand how it looks and what we are supposed to be looking into. Before products can be shipped internationally, the buyer and seller must agree on the Incoterm that the goods are sold under. The Incoterm must be clearly stated in sales contracts and countersigned by both the parties to avoid any misunderstandings. Should any disputes arise, then the details included in the documentation will be referred to resolving those issues. And it is only important to keep in mind that Incoterms define the risk and responsibility of a shipment between the buyer and the seller. Incoterms were developed by International Chambers of Commerce. Why do we use Incoterms? Because Incoterms hold universal meaning around the world, where people use Incoterms to avoid misunderstandings in foreign trade contracts by clarifying the tasks, costs and risks. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this simplified learning and you have grabbed better understanding from this topic. So stay tuned with upcoming interesting topics.